Welcome to the magical journey beyond mediocrity, where the mystical and the practical become aligned. You're listening to Meant for More, the Seeker's Guide to Success, with your host, Seeker's Guide and coach, Kristen Lloyd. Kristen guides you through mindset shifts to increase your consciousness and live your best life. So let's leave mediocrity behind and step into your magical, magnificent life with Kristen.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Meant for More show, the Seeker's Guide to Success. I am your host and Seeker's Guide, Kristen Lloyd. I am so grateful that you've all turned in today for the show, and I'm so excited for today's episode. This is episode 6 of the Meant for More show, and today our special guest is Desiree Wolfe. Desiree is a sassy business trainer.
Known for her edgy attitude and quick wit, she gained popularity with women who want to start playing bigger in their home-based business while creating a lifestyle they love. Welcome, Desiree.
Good morning. How are you?
Desiree, it is 6-something in the morning in Las Vegas where you are, and it's super early. I have no idea what's going on. Okay, Desiree Wolfe is a sassy business trainer and admired mentor for women in direct sales and small business. Known for her edgy attitude and quick wit, she gained popularity with women who want to start playing bigger in their home-based business while creating a lifestyle they love. Once again, after all of this hoopla, welcome, Desiree.
Well, good morning. It's always fun to start the day with some excitement.
I know, right? Nothing like some technical difficulties to get your blood pumping in the morning. So,
hey, it's on our toes.
I know. Okay, so let's just get started. This is the Men for More show. So, of course, the first question I want to
let's
ask
have some fun.
Is what, you're an entrepreneur. Were you always an entrepreneur? And what was your sign from the universe that you were meant for more?
Oh my gosh, no, I was not an entrepreneur. I was in the corporate world for many, many years. And, I grew up, my mom started her own business when I was about and I saw the flexibility that she had. She tried to work for a couple of years, but with us small kids at home, she really wanted to make sure she was there when we bus. And, she tried, bless her heart, she tried to be June Cleaver with the cookies waiting and all that kind of stuff. And she knew she was ready for more. We were about 9 and started her own business as sort of a fun little hobby of doing plant here and get that. That was kind of her calling, and it was exciting to see her grow, over the next 10 years or so. She really had fun with her business, and so I think I sort of caught the bug, when I was in my teen years, but I ignored it, went and did.
Desiree, can you hear me? Are you on your phone?
Yeah.
Because I can move a little because the sound is cutting again.
Well, it's so weird because I have
full signal.
Everything. So yeah.
So weird.
Since we started the call.
Oh, technology, how we love thee.
Yes. You know what? Let me see if it is me. I'm going to move.
That's better.
Can you hear me now?
No, but while you were moving, I could hear you better.
How's that?
Nope.
Oh, well, I was in the hallway. And yeah, so because there's, I have full coverage on everything.
Oh, I have. Is it better? We'll just start talking and maybe moving and talking. I don't know.
How's this?
Let's start from here. Let's just start back. So you're in your teenage years.
Okay.
You saw your mom.
Yeah, I was in theater watching my mom grow her business, and she having fun with it, and I kind of got the feeling, you know what? I think this is what I should be doing. I should figure out how to do my own thing. But we're getting a message. This is working.
Yeah, it's bad again.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm honestly going to say that I don't know that it's my phone.
Oh, right there. Where are you? Stand right there.
In the middle.
That sounds in
the middle
of
the living room. Yes.
Oh, perfect. You sound so good right now.
Okay, well, excellent.
Yay! Okay, don't move.
All right, I'm just standing in my hallway.
Okay, so you saw your mom, you got the bug, you wanted to explore your own journey in this regard.
Yeah. So, but I ignored it. And I went into the corporate world thinking I was going to be this big corporate boss and I was going to have big teams of people and I was going to make lots of money and climb the corporate ladder. And, I realized after I joined the direct sales industry in the corporate side, I started working with women who had their own business and I saw what they had. And I thought, you know what? I think that's what I'm meant for. I think I'm meant to be helping other women grow their business with the experience that I've had. And that's when I sort of, started to realize I think I'm meant to be an entrepreneur. I don't think I'm meant to be an employee anymore.
What did you learn from the corporate world that helped you to see, and this is not for me, and what helped you, what did you take from that corporate world as you moved into entrepreneurship? So those are like two questions.
Well, it's kind of ironic because the one thing that I learned the most was probably the structure and the systems and the procedures that's the one thing that I sort of kind of hated. I was kind of like, you know what? I hate all these systems. I hate all these rules that I have to follow. And yet now that I'm in my own business, that's exactly what I'm teaching other people is how to set up systems, how to, create their own rules and how to, have their own procedures and all of this kind of stuff. So the same thing that I really hated being told I had to follow in the corporate world is now what I'm teaching others how to do in their own businesses.
Right. Isn't that funny? Like the discipline, the rules that you have to follow, which are typically the deadlines and the that kind of stuff. It's like, but if you don't do it in your own business, right? Because that's kind of what I tell a lot of my clients is that in entrepreneurship, if you don't do the work, you don't get paid. Like there's no paycheck to collect at the end of the week. Like if you don't follow through, then you're left holding the bag.
Right. Well, I think it's a little bit different when it's on our own terms. When we're being told this is what you have to do every day. You have to clock in, you have to sit at your desk for X amount of hours. Now we do have a little bit more of that flexibility. So it does make it a little bit more appealing, but you do still have to have some sort of systems and you do have to have, kind of the checks and balances. Just like you said, you don't do the work, you don't get paid this time.
Right. So the inspiration to become an entrepreneur, did that come specifically from watching your mom, or did that come from being in the corporate space and saying, no, I want to go out on my own. Like this is a dream that I have. This is how I know, like the meant for more. There is more to life than just sitting behind the desk.
Yeah. Well, I think it was a little bit of both. And part of it was because my mom's business was not desk-based. She was out with clients regularly and she had the interaction, which I saw that she enjoyed, and it brought energy into her business. And top that with the corporate life, I think both of them together sort of grew it. Each experience added into the desire and the want for more and the want to sort of be doing my own thing.
Mm-hmm. So, and going back to that other, what did you, when you left corporate, what did you model from, you kind of said that some of the disciplinary things, but was there anything specific that you modeled from the corporate world into entrepreneurship that you said, yep, I think this is important for me to know?
That's a great question. The thing that I modeled the most is I sort of set a schedule for myself is the thing that I had to do. There's a reason why you go to work from X amount of hours each day. It's because there's a block of time that you have to get stuff done. And so that was really important to me when I started my business, is to make sure that I had some sort of schedule to my day. Now, I'll be honest, when I started my business, I had a 3-year-old, so I didn't have to have that 8 a.m., bus loading time or breakfast time, that kind of thing. So my schedule was a little bit backwards. I usually worked from 8 p.m. to 3 a.m., but I still had that set block of time that I knew, okay, this is when I'm going to sit down at my desk and focus and get work done. And I think that was really important to set that habit in the very beginning of starting my business.
Right. So now, do you have habits or rituals that you incorporate into your daily routine, into that structure?
Oh my goodness. I am such a habits and rituals girl. I start my day off almost the exact same way every morning. It's not in the exact same order, but I have the same list of things that I like to get done. Now I've got my 3-year-old is now 8, and I've got another baby who's actually 3 now. So,
wow.
So systems and routines are definitely important for all of us in my family. I try to get up around the same time every day, and I have the same kind of, I grab my coffee and I sit on the couch and think about, okay, what's going on today. I get myself into a place of feeling good, and this is these are the good things that are going right. So I have a few moments to myself, and then I sort of ease into the day and say, okay, now I got to make breakfast and get lunches out the door and walk to the bus. And so I definitely have those routines and rituals that I maintain in my schedule every day. And on the days that it doesn't happen, usually that's okay, as long as it's only one day. If I get too far off track, I start to feel kind of all over the place and really overwhelmed.
Or on days where you're on a really early morning show and there's technical difficulties in the beginning.
Yes. Well, you know what? Here's the cool thing about that is now my energy is up and high, so I'm going to have a great day now.
Woohoo! Glad we could do that for you.
Yay! Hey, thanks for those technical difficulties.
Right? Let's turn it into a positive.
That's right.
So, with for others who are building businesses, what advice would you give someone who is feeling stuck with their business growth or stuck in their business growth?
Yeah, that's a great question. And a lot of my clients that I work with, that's exactly why they come to me. They've been working their business for, 1 or 2 years, maybe sometimes even longer, and they've hit a plateau. They're like, okay, I don't know what to do next. The first thing that I usually have them do is, okay, let's do an inventory. We're going to do a mental inventory of what's going on in your head, and then we're going to do an inventory of what's going on in your business. So I sort of have them do, just kind of a brain dump. Just get a big blank sheet of paper and just start writing down all of the thoughts that you have and marry that with some of the vision that you have and see what we can do to help bring those two things together. And then the other thing that I do is have them take a look at what they're doing every day. Is there stuff that they're doing in their schedule that they can either ditch, delegate, or decide that if they really even need to be doing it or not? And so taking this mental inventory really helps them get kind of an overview picture of, okay, what's going on? Where am I really stuck, and what's really holding me back right now?
Right. I think that's awesome. And you're a mentor for small businesses, but also for women in direct sales. And for our listeners who may not know what direct sales is, can you give us just a little explanation of that?
Sure. Direct sales kind of falls under the network marketing umbrella. And direct sales is a little bit different. I work specifically with women in direct sales who are party plan, which means they have an actual product, a consumable product, and they usually do in-home parties where they do party presentations and they present the product that way. So that's, it falls under that network marketing, but I prefer, the direct sales and the party plan because there's a tangible product and there's a business model that helps people grow their own businesses.
So I have a mindset question for you.
Yes.
And I know you're going to love it. Within direct sales, there are, and because there is a tangible product in the party planning, there are a lot of women who go out and they start with, let's say, their friends and family, and then they work outwards into, new people that they're just meeting. And one of the things that I've seen come up, I'm not in direct sales, but I know the model, that one of the things that comes up is fear of being pushy, fear of someone saying no, fear of uncomfortable conversations, or all of these things, fear. And what is a good way for you to flip that for, women who may be listening, who are in direct sales, who do have a product, who may be kind of stuck in that model of, well, I have this great product that I really believe in. I love it, but I also don't want to come off pushy, and I want people to feel as passionate about this product as I do. But also there's got to be an element of sales there, right? So what suggestions would you offer to someone to kind of break through this fear?
That's such an awesome question, because I deal with this with my clients a lot. And one of the things that comes up is I am not going to teach you how to become a better salesperson. I believe that you need to look past the product and go past beyond your friends and family. I firmly believe that your friends and family might book a party, they might buy a couple products, but they are not your long-term customer. So what I have my clients do is I have them say, okay, put the product away. Figure out what kind of service are you providing people? And I ask them, how are you changing other people's lives? You might be making somebody's day a heck of a lot easier from the product that you offer. How is that being of service? Instead of saying, here, I have a product that's going to make your life great, you say, I can help you eliminate the challenge that you're having in your life. I can help you, organize your home, or I can help you save time with XYZ product. So instead of leading with the product, I say, let's come from a place of service. How can we help them? And a lot of times that really helps people alleviate that fear of, buy my product. They're afraid to talk to people because they don't want to seem pushy. So that, coming from a place of service really helps people get over that hump of trying to push a product.
That's amazing. I love that. I really do. Because, and I know that those listening who are in direct sales will be able to glean a lot from that, because it's so important to come from a place of service. And how am I making this person's life better? And how is the product and the customer service from the relationship, right? Because
exactly,
then you're really doing much more than just the product, but you're helping them through maybe a difficult time, like for, skincare products, or, I know that there's health and wellness products and all of that. So the direct sales industry is huge. And so what is it that you're doing to help change their lives? So I think coming from a place of service is amazing. So the party-based model, people are going out and meeting people. And I don't want to ask you for all of your secrets, but, it's a work from home model, but yet how are people in direct sales and even in small businesses reaching out to their ideal clients? How are they meeting people?
Well, I'm sort of on this direct sales revolution where I think we are now in an age where talking to people in the grocery store not only feels uncomfortable for the people who are trying to sell you, but it feels uncomfortable to the people standing there in the line. And it's kind of an old adage in the industry, well, you talk to everybody. I don't believe that anymore. I believe you have to discover who your ideal client is, even in direct sales. It used to be that this was a model where talk to everybody about your product, talk to everybody about the business opportunity, and that's how you get successful. I don't really believe in that anymore. I believe we have to build a relationship with people we have a connection to. And so one of the things that I've started teaching my clients in direct sales is to harness the power of the internet. Look at growing your direct sales business online to bring you more leads into your party plan. And that way you can have not only multiple streams of income, but you have a new way to connect with people that you may have not had the chance to meet before.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So for different individuals who have, let's say, signed somebody up, they haven't met them before, or they're just, they got connected through a party and the person's like really impassioned about the product, and then they sign them up, and then this in a direct sales model, and then all of a sudden that person's for lack of a better term, a downline, right? Or another consultant. So how is that relationship built between upline and downline that's with someone who you haven't really built a relationship with?
That's a really good question. And I actually get that a lot with people who, they're like, well, how am I supposed to get to know my team and that kind of stuff? I really suggest just treating your downline as if they're a customer. What service would you provide your customer, and what level of communication would you have with them? How would you like to communicate with them? So really what I do is I have them say, okay, talk to your team, see how do they want to communicate? Do they like to be text message? Do they like email? Do they like phone calls? And really sort of, build kind of this map of how you're going to chat with them and how you're going to help them grow their business. So you have to do a little bit of relationship research when it comes to building your team. And it's really important that you figure out, how do people want to be communicated with? It's sort of like the 5 love languages, as if you're familiar with that, Burke. Yeah. It's so funny. I was thinking, I wish somebody would write the 5 languages of direct sales because there is different ways that you communicate with your team that is going to help you build that relationship.
That's one of my favorite books. And as someone who has worked as a couples counselor before, I would recommend that to my clients all of the time. And
yes.
I'd be so willing to collaborate on that with you, although I think that the author of the book might not like it so much if other people are taking his love languages.
We're just going to write the new book in the series for you. Thanks anyways.
Thanks anyway, right? That's amazing. No, but it's so true, because it's still a relationship building, interpersonal communication exercise that really helps the longevity of not just of business growth, but also personal connection. Right? Isn't
Definitely.
that what business is all about, is personal connection?
Yeah, I think we tend to forget that sometimes. We get so focused on our own goals and so focused on trying to get sales and making the money that sometimes we forget we are in every business, no matter what your business model, we are in the business of building relationships. And there has to be some sort of element of relationship with every customer and every potential customer that you have.
And I agree. It's not just about the outcome, which can sometimes for people be the income, but it's also about building those relationships and the foundation of those relationships, because when someone knows that you are being of service and that you're there to help them through, then that's how you relationship build. That's how you build that connection when you say to your consultant or your customer, like, I've got your back, I'm here for you,
Yeah.
And that's about coming from a place of service and heart-centered, which I know you're all about, but I am too. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
So how do you stay productive while working from home, and how much work do you do from home versus quote unquote in the field, like with potential clients, or is home in the field?
Well, we make our own rules when it comes to funk, right?
Make our own rules. Yeah. Okay.
You gotta love it. All right. Productivity. This is this is actually one of my favorite topics, because I get people that ask me all the time, how do you get so much stuff done with a 3-year-old? And it all goes back to having a schedule and routine. And that's really, I'm a firm believer in time chunking. I like to do similar tasks all together, because I do believe once you're kind of in the zone of getting something done, it's easier to keep going than to try and flip-flop back and forth. So a lot of times my days, I chunk a lot of stuff together, and that includes, I have a weekly blab show. So like Thursdays are my blab days. When I'm done with my show, I actually go visit other shows that are going on and kind of participate. So I know that I've got 2 hours of time that I'm going to be focusing on being live and sort of being kind of in front of other people, whether it's in front of the computer monitor, and then like Tuesdays are my admin and my financial days. So I make sure all the bills get paid. I've set up any administrative stuff that needs to get done happens usually on Tuesdays. So I firmly believe in time chunking and get yourself in the zone and stay there a little bit easier. Not always the best scenario when you have a 3-year-old running around. So I do believe that there is a time during the week that you need to step away, and whether that's asking your husband for some help or hiring a sitter. If you've got little ones running around, definitely find a space in at least 1 or 2 days a week that you can say, okay, I've got 3 or 4 hours all to myself. This is what I need to get done. And so you can focus on maybe more in-depth projects. So definitely time chunking and sticking with your schedule.
So time chunking, is that similar to like the Pomodoro technique, or is that where you're assigning a specific task to a specific time block?
Yeah, I'm assigning a specific task to a specific time block, and I even do it for like content writing. It all goes on my calendar. So I've got an hour every morning where I sit down and say, okay, I'm gonna spend 1 hour writing before the kids get up, and that could be emails, that could be maybe some social media posts. So it goes on the calendar. If you were to look at my Google Calendar, I've had people tell me, oh my gosh, this gives me a heart attack. I almost want to have a seizure looking at your calendar because you have so much stuff on there. And it's not that I have a lot to do. It helps me stay on track. So I rarely ever sit at my desk and say, okay, what am I supposed to be working on? Because it's on the calendar, so I firmly believe in the time chunking where everything gets lumped together. That is kind of a like task, and then it gets put on the calendar.
How do you push back on, I don't feel like it right now?
Well, sometimes I give in to that. Sometimes that's okay. I didn't start my business to work 80 hours a week and be glued to my computer all the time. And sometimes the little guy that runs around forces me to remember that. So sometimes I don't have a choice. There are those days where I have to decide, okay, am I being lazy or do I need a break? And that's sort of the question that I have to ask myself is, am I being lazy or do I really need this break? Do I need to kind of go regroup and think some things out? The other days where I realize, okay, I am just being lazy, I remember, okay, I've got my eye on the prize. I've got to get this done. And then I can go play.
Yeah, I think that that's good to remember, but I think, in my mind, where I was going was creative resistance. And I don't know if you've ever read The War of Art, but he talks about how you sit down at the computer and sometimes you can stare at a blank page and become overwhelmed and hyperventilate. And there's this emotional resistance that pops up. And for all of you listeners, if you haven't read The War of Art, it's an amazing book. I cannot remember who wrote it. I think it's Stephen Pressfield, maybe?
Yes,
Am I
Stephen
right?
Pressfield. Yep.
Oh my gosh, I get an A. Woohoo!
Yes, woohoo! Gold star.
Gold star. But I'm thinking, that is so important because there are times I know for me where I'll sit down and I will time chunk as well. And it's like, okay, I'm gonna hash this out. I'm gonna write it out and I've got it. And then I'm just like, oh God, what do I do next?
Yeah.
And once you start writing, you kind of get into the flow. But for many people, starting is that struggle. And so for someone like you who has time chunked, you throw the 3-year-old in there and, it could be a zoo and I get that. But what about just that emotional resistance piece?
I'll tell you something that it's a weird thing that I do when I start to feel that way. I'll tell you, some of my best ideas come in the shower. So if I start to feel like, oh my gosh, I'm staring at a blank page, I can't get anything done, I'll go jump in the shower and suddenly like the ideas just start flowing.
That's amazing.
And so, it's the weirdest thing. And I know there's even a product out there called Aqua Notes.
Yes.
And you put it in the shower and you can write notes on it in the shower. I'm a firm believer that I'm obviously not the only one that has this phenomena of getting in the shower and having a million thoughts. So, usually if I'm really feeling stuck, I'll just be like, okay, you know what? I need to go take a shower. This is going to jumpstart my energy. There's something about the water. There's something about standing there and not having to think about anything else that it really allows your mind to start bringing in all of the ideas. And a lot of times after that, I'll get out of the shower and my fingers are on fire because I just start writing and the ideas just start flowing. But, for every, you can't go take a shower every time you feel stuck sometimes. So.
Right.
So, the best advice and my coach actually gave me this advice. Sometimes you just have to sit your ass in the chair and start writing. There's no other option. If you just tell yourself, okay, I'm going to spend 10 minutes writing, a lot of times that 10 minutes will turn into an hour or 2 hours, and you get a lot more done than you had planned on it. So sometimes the best advice is just sit your ass in the chair and start writing.
Right. No, it's so true. And just starting somewhere. And
just starting.
Right. May not be where you intend to go, but starting.
Yeah, I don't care if you sit down and write an email to your grandma. Just sit down and start writing. There's the physical act of sitting down helps your mind make that shift of, okay, I need to get some words on some paper.
Right. Speaking of writing an email to your grandma, let's talk about
email marketing.
Yes. Ooh, nice segue. How beautiful.
Don't you love that? Email marketing. So maybe you're going to send a letter to your grandma and she's on your list. Maybe she's not. I've heard people say that email marketing is dead. But
we still.
Oh no, please tell me you cut out. Please tell me you're back. No. Don't let this happen. Are you there? This is so much fun, but I don't know where she went.
I'm here.
Okay, there you are. Yay. I don't know what's going on. This is so crazy.
It is so weird.
Right when we get to this high point.
When we get to the juicy stuff.
The juicy. Okay. I've heard people say email marketing is dead. What is your take on email marketing for small businesses or for direct sales? Either one or both.
I am a firm believer that there is money in email marketing. The money is in the list is one of my favorite quotes that I tell people. And the reason I say that is because your list is sort of like the golden ticket of communicating with the masses when it comes to communicating with your customers. And I just firmly believe that if you nurture your email list the right way and give them information and content that they want, that when it comes time to ask them for a sale, they will be more inclined and they will start to look at you as the authority because of the content that you're sharing with them via email. So I am a huge, huge supporter of email marketing. And I firmly believe every small business owner should be emailing regularly. And when I say regularly, there's no magic formula. I don't think 3 days a week is going to get you any more sales than somebody who has really good stuff that they email once every 2 weeks. So, I do firmly believe that everybody should be doing some sort of email marketing and growing their list.
Right. And then again, I'm going to speak to that person who I know is out there listening, who's like, but Desiree, what do I say?
Yeah. Well, it all goes back to knowing who your audience is. What do they want help with? What did they come to you to begin with? So really pay attention and do the research of what's going on in the lives of your ideal customer. And this is why I talk about having a niche and having sort of that ideal client persona. You have to know what they want. You have to know what they need from you. And it's so crucial that you understand that way you can craft your content around giving them what they want.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's so critical. So like you said, there's no magic formula. However, I have heard many different marketers say, okay, there's a ratio. Like there's value posts and then, or email, not posts, but emails. And then there's sales emails. So, and there are, and I don't even know what they're called, but you build people up to a specific, like, wait for it. And there's almost this suspense within the marketing, almost like you would see on television shows. Like they have cliffhangers.
Yeah.
And so that keeps your audience engaged. This is a whole lot more businessy than I usually do on this show, but I think it's awesome. So how do how does someone know, what to do? Or is that what they hire you for, to kind of help them through what they call, I guess, an email sequence or something like that?
Sure. Yeah. It depends on your goals. It's because there's different sequences. There's different email campaigns. If you're getting ready to do a product launch, which means you will probably be emailing your list a lot more because you're introducing a product to them. Your email campaign is going to look a little bit different. You might be emailing them every day, every other day, and a little bit more strategically. If you just have a weekly newsletter, you might only be emailing them every Monday morning, and that's going to look like, XYZ. So there is some strategy that needs to go into why are you emailing? I always tell my clients, don't email just for the sake of emailing, because it's going to come off very bland. It's going to come off very needy and desperate sounding. So have a strategy. Decide what a goal is of why you're emailing. And you can really, plan things out that way and decide how many emails do you need to do. And yes, there is a formula depending on the campaign and the reason why you're emailing people. And I could spend hours and hours talking about the different formulas and things like that. But it really comes down to, what is the goal? Why are you emailing these people, and what do you want them to do?
Right. And it's important to keep the audience engaged and excited, because if you go in the bland box, like you're looking for unsubscribes, and then your list dwindles and that sort of thing. So, right. So it does, I agree. It does depend on what's the intended outcome. What do you want them to do, but also keeping them excited and engaged and that sort of thing. So, all right. Now I'm going to put you on the spot. So if you were to give 3 to 5 very bold biz strategies for building bigger, because that's what this is about, building bigger for either direct sales or small businesses, what tips, obviously they have to be general because, we haven't given a specific, but, or 2 or 3 for direct sales and 2 or 3 for small businesses that are not direct sales. What do you think are essential, critical, bold biz strategies for building bigger for each of those biz models?
Well, the biggest one for any business model is you have to discover your own voice. You have to find who you are and the personality that you want other people to see, I think, is the biggest move that anybody can take into kind of being bold. And bold doesn't necessarily mean you have to have the pink hair like I, usually have, and you don't have to use swear words and that kind of thing. Being bold to me is being yourself and not hiding behind kind of either the corporate veil or hiding behind, bland words or, a company logo. Being bold in business is being yourself in business and connecting with people who naturally resonate with you. So I really do think that's the biggest tip is figuring out who you are. And there's an old saying, and I'm probably going to screw it up, but there's no greater personal development than starting your own business. And I think that is really the first thing that you have to kind of harness. And that might be a journey for you. But definitely figuring out who you are and the voice that you want to portray people is definitely the top tip for any business model. Another one is you have to know who your audience is. You have to know what they're looking for. And you have to really understand how can you connect with them. And the secret that I especially tell my direct sellers is not everyone is an ideal customer. You cannot please the masses. And in fact, the more you try and please the masses, the less impact you have on those who really need it because you've watered down your message. So really hone in on who you're helping, and that'll help you craft your message.
Yeah.
Tip number 3 is get out there. Whether you get out there in person or whether you're showing up online, you have to show up or nobody's going to know you exist. And that's really huge because especially when we work from home, we have a tendency to sort of kind of get into our comfort box, of working in our pajamas and, I'll check Facebook. And then suddenly you're now playing, Candy Crush, or you're looking at baby photos, that kind of thing. Have a strategic plan of, how am I going to get out there? How am I going to talk to people? How am I going to show people what it is that I know? And you really have to step up and participate in conversation, whether in person or online. And it has to be focused around, not necessarily getting the sale, but creating those relationships. So, those are the top 3 tips for any sort of business model is find your voice, discover your customer, and get out there.
Okay. Now I'm going to go a little deeper here.
Oh, yay.
Yay. Okay. Know you. Building your business model starts with knowing you. Your greatest personal development, and I'm probably going to mess up the quote too, is getting to know yourself. And
yeah.
So the big buzzword that I hear online is be authentically you. Authentic.
Yes.
Authentic.
Yes.
Be you.
Yes.
And for people who are getting to know themselves, one of the big themes that I see is vulnerability and being vulnerable. And so knowing who you are, knowing where you came from, knowing what your passion, your purpose, your why is a big one, right?
Yeah.
And I heard you go, does that excite you?
Well, it does a little bit. I have a love-hate with the thought of vulnerability because I think there's a fine line between being vulnerable and TMI.
Right. I completely agree. But please go on, explain. I want to hear this.
Well, being vulnerable is opening up the side to you that shows people what you've been through. I am a very strong, independent woman, raised by a very strong, independent woman. So I kind of grew up with, I don't want to say we didn't talk about our feelings because I was a very emotional child, but I have a very hard time. I don't like to dread on the past. I don't like to say I don't necessarily believe my past defined me. I'm a big girl. There's, crap that happened in my past. I don't think that's built my business. I don't necessarily think it pertains to, it's kind of like, you don't need to know that information. But for some people, it is important that they share that because it's the same journey that their customer or their client might be going on. So I think it's really important that you understand, is your vulnerability relevant to your customer and to your business? Or are you falling in the trap of, well, I need to share deep, dark secrets to my life? So I think it's really important that you kind of decide what is that fine line and figure out, am I being vulnerable or am I just sharing because somebody told me I needed to tell my story?
Right. I think that's powerful because, and there's no judgment, I've often wondered this, how much is, like you said, TMI, or it's like you've opened the dirty laundry basket of, come one, come all. This is a circus show.
Yeah, exactly.
Versus authentically sharing one's story of, this is where I've been through. This is what I've been through. This is where I've been. And this is, dare I say, how I'm qualified or how I can help you through this struggle or this issue. And that's huge in the coaching world, which is, okay, I've been there, done that. Now I know how to help you. What's interesting is how this is part of coaching. And I'm going to digress for just a second, because in the counseling world, because that's my background, right? My background is counseling. You don't have to go through a whole bunch of, CRAP to counsel. You just need a little piece of paper that says, hey, I know these techniques and I can empathize with you and, help you through it. But in coaching, people want to see that you've helped people go through something similar, or they want to know that you've been through it yourself, which is really interesting because the fields are closely related, clearly different, but closely related. And those are some distinct differences of, okay, I want to know how you've gotten through this or past this yourself. And that could even be like health coaches or fitness trainers, somebody who's really transformed their life in that regard. And so that's interesting. But again, I think that's good insight into, okay, what is my ideal client looking for? What expertise, right? Because you want to be the expert in your field. What expertise can I share with them so that they know I get it and I get them?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and your expertise stems from your experience, in this regard, not necessarily in the counseling, because you need to go to school and you need to go through techniques and that kind of thing. But when you're a small business owner, whether you're in coaching or direct sales, because direct sales does have an element of coaching, especially when you're building your team. So you do need to understand that there needs to be the empathy. You need to, people do want to understand that you've been through a journey and you do have the experience, which leads you to be sort of, the authority. I'm not a big fan of the word expert. Expert to me means you've gone through school, you've studied everything, you've been there, done that type thing. I love the word authority. Be the authority, which means you've educated yourself. I love the linguistics. Yeah. So I think, to be the authority, you definitely have to have the experience, and you have to be able to tell your story in a way that people can empathize with it. It's important to me that when I tell my story that I bring up the fact that, yes, my mom ran her own business for almost 20 years. I was raised by a strong, independent, entrepreneurial woman. Is it important that I throw in there my mom's been married 5 times? No, to me, that's TMI. It's not relevant to the story. Sure, I could tell it and have it, it's authentically me, but it's not, to me, it's not relevant. It doesn't need to be part of the story. And it really has nothing to do with me. I've technically never been married. So that part of the story hasn't shaped my business, and it really didn't have an effect on me growing a business. What had an effect on me is that I saw my mom build a business from the dining room. And when she was a single mom with me when I was 12, it fed us. It put food on the table. That's important to me. And I think that's the part of my story that I would like to have resonate with other women who might be feeling like they're struggling and getting their business going because they're a single mom or they don't have a supportive spouse. That's the kind of thing that I can empathize with.
And that is beautiful. And I agree with you wholeheartedly that part of the story it's not lending to the professional journey. Right.
And I think that falls under TMI.
Right. Now if, and I'm just going to paint this picture, if there was someone who said, my spouse was, diagnosed with an illness and so could no longer work. And therefore I had to be the breadwinner and I was a stay-at-home mom. And now, this has fueled my why. Like, sure. Then you see what I'm saying? And I'm not, this is not a judgment, but I think that when people are able to say, okay, this was definitely part of my journey versus this is not.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Does that make sense? Like, I think that's a huge part.
It makes total sense. I think it's finding in what's relevant to your why and what's been relevant to your journey and what has really impacted where you are with your life and how you've made the decision to start growing your business. I think, you have to decide, you have to kind of look at your story and say, okay, what pieces are really important and what's going to have the greatest impact on people when I tell my story?
Right. And what's going to resonate with your ideal client, because they're typically, and correct me if I'm wrong, they're typically going through something very similar.
Yeah. Exactly.
Because that's who you're serving, right?
Right.
Solving that problem. Okay. Yep. I'm despite all of the conundrums this morning, I'm so glad that we were able to just rock on and continue with this interview and today's show. I'm so excited. I know I will be sharing the replay with you. So all of our replay listeners, thank you for being patient with all of the craziness this morning. Desiree, where can people find you? Because I know after this, everybody's going to be just, where can I find Desiree? Where does she hang out online?
I've got my website, which is DesireeWolfe.com, and that's Wolfe with an E. I spend a lot of time on Facebook. I have a couple of Facebook groups that I run. So you can find me at Facebook.com/The Desiree Wolfe is my Facebook page. You can find me hanging out there quite a bit. And I'm also on Blab. I have a weekly Blab show, so you can find me over there when I, talk with other awesome sauce entrepreneurs just like you do here. So those are the three places you can find me hanging out the most.
And so if people go to www.facebook.com/The Desiree Wolfe, DESIREEWOLFE, they will be able to find your Facebook groups and your weekly Blab show there, or would that be found on your website, or both?
No, both places. I share just about everywhere. So you can find all the information either on my Facebook page or on my website.
All right. No. And I have to highlight this. You did not tell me about this, but I know about this. You have co-authored a book, girlfriend.
I did. I was extremely honored last November. Teresa Garrison, who has been in the direct sales industry for over 20 years, approached me and said, hey, I was asked to write a book, and they've asked, a small handful of people if they want to collaborate with me. And she goes, I chose you. And I went, get out. So I'm super honored that me and Teresa and 8 other women have collaborated on a book called Behind Her Brand Direct Sales Edition. And it is about how to grow your direct sales business and be a good leader instead of a manager. So we talk about branding, growing your team, leadership, all that kind of stuff.
I'm getting chills. Build your brand and be a leader, not a manager.
Yes.
That's amazing.
You can't manage your team. You should be leading them.
Right. Is that on Amazon?
It is, and it's also on my website too. It's Behind Her Brand Direct Sales Edition.
Okay, awesome. I'm, again, so grateful that you took the time and got up super freaking early to be on the Meant for More show. I'm so grateful and blessed that you are here. Thank you again. And everyone, thank you all for listening. It's been another great show. To continue the conversation, hop on over to the Seekers group on Facebook, www.facebook.com/groups/The Seekers Path. Until next time, you are meant for more. Keep seeking.
Thanks for tuning in to Meant for More, the Seeker's Guide to Success. But the fun doesn't end here. Head over to KristenLloyd.com for your Seeker's Guide workbook filled with exercises to help you go from mediocre to magically magnificent.